Hello, everybody. Billy Kid here. It is so nice to be back at Liberty Magic virtually. And also, I'm super excited to be sharing the screen with Guy Hollingworth, who, let me tell you, is actually one of Magic's best dressed gentlemen. You know, I should have thought of this sooner. This is not appropriate. Guy's going to be dressed so smart, I guarantee it. I know this is live, but sorry, is it alright if can we stop? Can I start again? I just want to get changed real quick because Guy's gonna look fab. Just give me 2 seconds, all right? 2 seconds. I should change into something more appropriate. There you go. Liberty Magic at home, bitches.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Liberty Magic at Home, a project of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. On tonight's show, live from the United Kingdom, we welcome two of Britain's best, magician Billy Kid and card sharp Guy Hollingworth. And of course, our host for the evening, from her basement in Braddock Hills, put your hands together for Zoe Ruth.
Thanks again for joining us, everyone, in the most magical place on the internet. Now, I have a really exciting and international show for you all tonight. But first, I do want to remind you to help support the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust as we bring art from around the globe into the Steel City. So to do so, you can visit trustarts.org/donate. Now, last week on Liberty Magic at Home, we traveled across the country to visit two LA-based magicians. So I thought tonight it would be fun to travel across the Atlantic Ocean and visit two UK-based magicians. So let's go ahead and welcome onto the show Billy Kid, who performed on the Liberty Magic stage in our first summer season, and Guy Hollingworth, who is slated to perform on the Liberty Magic stage this August. Hey guys, thanks for joining me.
Hey.
Awesome. Well, now I know that it is past midnight for you both in Greenwich time over there. So I'll try to keep my voice down so I don't wake your quarantining neighbors.
Good plan.
Doesn't matter. You can be as loud as you want.
Awesome. Well, then I will. Awesome. Well, Billy, now you got to perform at Liberty Magic in the summer of 2019. And you also have a lot of experience performing really around the globe, in the States and in Canada, and also closer to where you're from. And now, Guy, you've performed around the globe as well. You are planning to come stateside. You've already collaborated with Neil Patrick Harris, who is obviously American actor and magician. So can you guys both talk a little bit about how audiences are maybe different here in the Americas versus nearer to where you're based? And do you ever change your material to suit a particular audience?
I would say yes. There's things that I know I have to change, certain words that I don't even know are different in America compared to over here, let's say. But I would say in general, there's moments in my show where I know the American reaction is more like, yeah, woo, you go, girl. Where that same moment in my show, if I'm doing it over here in the UK, is more the reaction that I'm looking for. Not in a bad way, but yeah, the humor is very different between those two countries.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think perhaps it's changing a little bit. I would say that a while ago, I would certainly say the stereotype was true, that we were more reserved, and the reactions you got in England were more sort of polite applause, not much of the whooping and cheering and the standing ovations. But I think it's changing. I think it's becoming more similar in both countries. And I generally actually don't change very much because my style is quite English. So in England, that's just how I am. And when I'm in America, I sort of kind of play on that a bit, I suppose. So I stick to my Englishness. So I try and keep things as they are without changing too many things. So I'm pretty well the same whichever side of the Atlantic I'm on, I reckon.
Oh, sure. That's great. Well, speaking of an American audience, let's welcome tonight's show's audience volunteers. Everyone say hi to Jeff and Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Jeff, Lisa.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Billy.
Welcome to the show, guys. Now, you guys both got to see Billy perform live, and hopefully you will get to see Guy at the end of the summer.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yes. Well, now that we have everyone here, gang's all here, Guy, I was hoping you could dive right into some magic for us.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah. I would like to actually, I was saying I do quite sort of traditional types of things. I'd like to show you a classic of magic, if I may. This is a classic which is known as twisting the aces. So I'm going to take some cards out of the pack, but the more observant of you may have noticed, I'm not actually using the aces. I'm going to be using, for this trick, the 4 kings, which gives you an idea of the sort of cutting edge of magic I like to do. I don't just do the same as everyone else. Revolutionize it by changing it from the aces to the kings. I thought you'd appreciate it. And the idea of the trick is very straightforward. The cards all start the same way round. So they all start facing me. And then I square the cards very slowly and just give a little twist, hence the title. And that causes one of the cards to turn around so that the first one of the kings that was facing me is now facing you, the King of Diamonds. Well, I appreciate that may not be the most amazing thing you've ever seen. It's a start, but it may not be the most amazing thing. So I thought this time I would make things a little bit more interesting by leaving the cards spread out in a little sort of a fanette, if you will. Because this time, of course, with the cards spread out, in the event that one of the cards were to turn over, obviously you'd notice it because the cards are spread out. Oh, maybe I caught you out that time. You didn't quite know what to look for. So I'll tell you what, this time you do know what to look for. So for the third one, watch very closely because I will do this very slowly, moving my hands just from side to side. Keep an eye on the cards and you might watch and you might see the third one of those kings in midair. Look at that, the King of Hearts just turns over. So we've had clubs, diamonds and hearts. That leaves just one more. So this is your last chance. I'll do it as slowly as I can. I'll do it right up in front of the camera. Watch very carefully. And there it is, the King of Hearts. Thank you. Oh, very kind of you. Very kind. Twisting the aces. Well, I say twisting the aces, of course. This was twisting the kings. And I think maybe, since it is a traditional trick, maybe we should actually finish as the trick was intended. So how about we just finish with...
They're not all aces. Oh my God!
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. A small smattering of applause. That's what I like. That's the American reaction that I'm going for. While I've got the aces here, why don't I try something else with those cards and with the rest of the pack? I'm going to put these aces back into different positions in the pack. So I'll put them in different parts of the deck, starting with the ace of spades, the ace of diamonds, we got the ace of hearts and the ace of clubs. So they go into different parts of the pack. I hope you can see that there. If I spread them out, they go into different positions in the pack. Now I'm going to square them in. I'll push them in very slowly, just like this. And I'll even give a couple of cuts just to keep everything as fair as possible, which frankly is not very fair at all, but I like to try and keep up the pretense. Now, Lisa and Jeff, be honest with me. Now that I've lost those aces in the pack, would you be amazed if I could find those same 4 aces from the pack again?
Yeah.
Yes.
We would be.
Well, it's very kind of you to say so, but you don't sound particularly convincing, if I'm honest. You know that the whole time. So I thought I would try and do something a little bit more interesting than that. I'm not simply going to find the cards like that. I'm going to do this blindfolded.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm not actually going to wear a blindfold. That would be faintly ridiculous. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cards into my pocket like this. Now, the idea behind doing that is it means that I am effectively blindfolded because I can't see them. So now my sleeve roll up. If I were able to reach into my pocket and actually produce one of those aces without looking, would you be impressed now? Still not very impressed. Okay, fine. That's all right. I won't do that. It's just as well as it happens because that's not an ace. I'm going to do something even more remarkable than that. I'm actually going to try and find the aces from this side of my jacket. So what I mean is I'm actually going to try and find an ace in the pack in my pocket. And I'm going to try and pull it through the rest of the cards and then pull it right the way through the lining of my jacket.
No. No.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, not bad.
Do the other ones.
The other ones. Okay, fine. I'll see what I can do. It does get more difficult each time, but I'll have a go. There's another one a little further down, I think. Let me just try. It's around about here, I think. Oh, yeah, that's another one. That's the ace of clubs.
great.
I'm trying so hard to see where this is coming from.
It does get more difficult each time because there are fewer aces in the pack. So if you think about it, it is more difficult. Which means that at least statistically, even if not dramatically, the effect does build. And I should mention that there are no slits or no holes in the jacket. It is just a question of pulling it magically through the lining. Oh, hang on, that's my mistake. Sorry, that's a king. That's entirely the wrong card. I'll just put that one back. And let's try this one. That's the ace of hearts. For the last one, I thought I'd try something a little bit different. For the last one, I thought rather than actually pulling the last one of the aces through my jacket, what I would do is actually pull all of the rest of the pack through my jacket. And that's
pretty good.
One card, one only in my pocket, and that would be the last one of the aces, the ace of swords.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that piece. Oh, I've never seen anything like that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much. It's a little trick I invented many years ago, so I'm glad you haven't seen that before.
Yeah, that's great. So it seems like your interest lies in more traditional forms of magic. Your show, Expert at the Card Table, is titled after a magic book that was published in the early 1900s, right?
Exactly, yes. I'm very influenced by traditional magic and by the history of magic, although I really try and make the magic that I do very modern, both in terms of the methods and hopefully the presentation as well. So it's inspired by historical things, but hopefully it doesn't feel too old-fashioned and sort of staid, because say the methods are new and hopefully the presentation is interesting. But yeah, I'm very, very influenced by the history of magic.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then on the other hand, we have Billy, who and I've seen a little bit of your magic.
Why do you chuckle, Zoe?
Anything but traditional. I mean, of course, you seem to build off of those same kind of core methods, but you, at least from my perspective in the show that I saw at Liberty Magic, it kind of you display them through this poetic world of the absurd.
I guess that's one way of putting it.
Well, I was hoping you might be able to demonstrate something for us that maybe demonstrates your preferred style of magic.
Yeah, okay. So let's try something like this. Being that we are potentially all in lockdown for however long, what I like to do is try to find things around the home that you can do magic with. So everyday kind of objects, like you guys can see this right in the light, a piece of sewing cotton. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear it into a few pieces, which you're probably thinking to yourself, being that it's sewing cotton, something you should sew with and keep things together, shouldn't break that easy. That's not the trick. That's just a question I always ponder when I do this effect. I'll have to leave it right about there. If you've been paying attention, Lisa and Jeff, do you know approximately how many pieces that was?
4?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4? I don't even know. I just wanted to. That was a little pop quiz. I am going to take out one piece here. You can see that, and the rest of these, I'm going to roll up into a tiny little ball. Now, this next part is going to be a little bit strange, but do not worry. All right. It was a good time. Dave. Sorry, just memories. All right, so we got that. That's nice and moist. And why I do that is so I can get it to stick. You can see this. It's very delicate. I'm trying to do this for the camera. If you moisten it just enough, hopefully you can get it to stick. Now, if we get Lisa and Jeff back on the screen, in fact, Lisa, could you do me a favor? Could you just blow? Look at that. You did it.
All the way across the Atlantic.
Amazing. Because just like that, Lisa, you got to do it so gentle, so smooth.
Oh,
Are
wow.
you feeling what I'm feeling, Lisa? Are you feeling it? I'm feeling it. And we restore that piece of cotton
Oh, wow.
to its original format. And that's a little something for you there.
That's cool.
But what I'd like to show you, and I think Lisa and Jeff, you might have been at my show last year, is one of my favorite pieces of magic. This is, you can say, a traditional piece that might not come out very traditional when I do it. So those of you who are watching at home, in history, quite a lot of magicians used to be women, but we labeled them, we called them witches, and we killed them just to set the atmosphere. You see, people back in the day, they did not realize if what they were seeing was real magic or, of course, sleight of hand. So, by using 3 simple beans, I'm going to share with you guys something my ancestors in magic used to do.
I lay, I lay. My back won't leave the floor, and the thoughts won't leave my mind. They're stuck just like before. So go and fetch the doctor. Go and fetch my man. Give me salty water. Lift me if you can. And I cried, I cried, I cried. No one came to see. And the pool is getting wide. Please come set me free. So go and fetch the doctor. Go and fetch my man. Give me salty water. Lift me if you can. died, I died, I died. That's okay with me. And I left my family.
That's
Wow.
you.
Oh,
Sorry, that's my contact lens. That's what bothering me. Little excerpt from my show.
Oh my gosh. Toby, my co-host here, is worried about me because I'm like cringing so much. But Billy, I love that piece so much because despite the fact that I'm like cringing through it as you're putting beans in your ears, it feels like a piece of like dance. It's so beautiful to me.
It's it's weird. It's the first time I've ever done it in this kind of frame, so I'm very like this, which is strange. But yeah, thank you, Zoe. It feels like a dance when I do it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
No, I think it works really well. Well, Jeff and Lisa, now that you've gotten a chance to see a little bit of magic from both Billy and Guy, do you have any questions for them?
Yeah. Okay. I have a question for Billy. I saw your one show and it was very different. And I've been to a few of the shows and they're all so different. Every magician seems to have an approach or a theme to their show. And what would you classify yours as when I come to a Billy Kid show? Like, what is your personal approach?
What is my personal approach? That's a very good question. I mean, I think the main thing for me when I'm creating a show is I like to write about things that I know, and selfishly, I like to do things that I've always wanted to do if I was in an audience. So if you saw my show, for example, I got the entire audience to pop bubble wrap, but not for no reason whatsoever. I try to find strings and try to attach them with the magic, with certain themes and little bits of personal stuff as well. So that's kind of how I develop a show, and mostly just hope the audience can have fun and play with me, really. It's just a chance to just let go and get naked.
Love it. Get naked.
Why not?
We did have a costume change in this episode as well.
Maybe.
Yes, but no nudity. And how about for Guy? Anything for Guy?
Okay. I have all the questions. This Guy, I know you have a book, and I know that I saw on the internet there were some of your tricks or your magic was replicated by other magicians. So I wondered how that makes you feel when other magicians replicate your art, and do you expect that, or do you mind when they do that?
Well, it's a good question because, of course, magicians are supposed to keep their secrets and not tell other people how tricks are done. But within the world of magic, we have quite a good relationship, a sort of a brotherhood and sisterhood, where we do share things with one another. So there are a lot of magic conventions and clubs and get-togethers where people do show each other their own original effects and how they're done. So when I wrote a book, I wrote it for that world. I didn't really expect people to go in and buy it off Amazon. It was really for other magicians. So when people have gone to the trouble of buying the book or borrowing the book and then learning one of the tricks, and I see them performing it, it gives me a lot of pleasure. You know, I'm very flattered by that because that was what I put it out for in the first place. So yeah, I'm always delighted to see people finding something that they think they can use. And speak of the devil, there we are.
Sorry, I got bored of the question. I was just reading this book by Guy Hollingworth.
Well, and it's not just a matter of reading a method in a book, because I mean, I can attest it takes way more skill than that. Like, I can't read a method in a book and replicate it.
Well, yes, you have to practice it a bit, but you know, you can't just pick up you can't pick up a book of sheet music and just play it. You have to practice music, and you know, you can't really pick up a cookery book unless you know a little bit about what you're doing. So there are different levels, and some of it is easier to pick up than others. But yeah, some of it does take practice. Certainly.
In fact, little tidbit for our viewers. In my show, I actually did one of Guy's routines from his book, and mixed it with some other stuff, which I know Guy's never seen, so he's probably scared now after what he just saw me do.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking I might actually open my show by tearing my shirt off and having a t-shirt.
Oh.
So that's
Swapsies. Now that I'd love to see.
Awesome. Well, Billy, thank you so much for sharing so much of your insight and magic with us today. It's been such a pleasure to reconnect. But
Yes.
before you go, can you tell us a little bit about what you've been working on during the quarantine?
Well, I've been working on a project called Happy Talk TV. We got about 5 viewers at the moment. It's basically me and a friend of mine, Paul DeBeck. We were bored in lockdown. I was stranded in Vegas before I got to come home. And we're just reporting on happy news. And we get to feature, a part of the idea is kind of like a variety show where we get to feature some of our performer friends from all over the world who join us with something amazing segments that they do with skill. But it's all every Monday we release it. So go to our YouTube, Happy Talk TV, subscribe, and see me do stuff in the rest of my home.
It's a lot of fun, you guys. Last week, she modeled bubble wrap as quarantine fashion. I loved it.
Bubble wrap, which is left over from my show from last year.
Yes, Liberty Magic subscribers, you will recognize it, the bubble wrap. Well, thanks again, Billy. Take care. Enjoy your quarantine as best you can.
Oh, I will. Whiskey.
Whiskey. Now, Guy and Lisa and Jeff, I would love you all to stick around. Guy has a little piece of magic to close our show tonight, and he has requested, Lisa and Jeff, your help. So we'll see you guys in just a minute. Now, that just about concludes the 4th installment of Liberty Magic at Home. Make sure to grab your tickets to Guy Hollingworth's show, Expert at the Card Table. You can grab those at trustarts.org/magic. Now, while you're there, make sure to support Pittsburgh Cultural District's art by dropping us a few dollars at trustarts.org/donate. You can also join our mailing list so that you never miss out on projects like Liberty Magic at Home or shows like Expert at the Card Table. trustarts.org/email. Now, next week, same time, same virtual place. Tune in for an exciting episode exploring magic in Pittsburgh. That's right. 2 performers with extensive experience performing for the best audience in the world, the ones that bleed black and gold and call the Steel City their home, will be joined by Lee Turbosic and Paul Gertner. So that is sure to be a really fun episode. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining me once again for some magic on this Friday evening, or for you in UK this Saturday, really early morning. With that, Guy, take it away.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'd love to show you one more trick, if I may. So I would normally ask somebody to pick a card just by taking one out, but that's a little difficult with the Atlantic between us. So perhaps instead, Lisa, as I go through the cards, perhaps you can just say stop at some point. Oh, okay, perfect. Right here. I can go a little further or one back, or are you happy with this one?
Yeah, that's good.
That one's good. Okay, fine. We'll take this card right here. I'll show you the card. It doesn't matter if I see it. And normally I'd ask you to sign your name on the card, but since I know what your name is, that seems a little unfair. Do you want to just call out a word, some sort of random word, and I'll write that on so we know this really is your card?
The beach.
Beach. Okay, I'll write beach. Actually, you know what? Since it's a court card, I'm going to write it just along the top there so we can see it. The name of a place we'd all like to be, but it's a little difficult for us at the moment. I hope you can see it there. Beach. There we go. And so we know there is only one card in the world that looks like this. Your chosen card with the word beach written on it. And I'm going to fold it in half, just like this. And then in half again, which, if my basic maths serves me, should make quarters. And the reason for this is it gives me these creases down the card, which would allow me to tear it up if I wanted to. And as it happens, I do. So I'm going to tear it just down the middle like this. And I hope you can see this is a real tear. Sometimes people think it's an illusion. I haven't really torn the card. Of course, if you don't believe that I've torn the card, then the rest of the trick becomes a little bit pointless. But I have torn it, and I'm going to continue to tear it just like this into two separate pieces. And if I put those two pieces together and I tear them down the middle, then that gives me not two, but four pieces like this. And the idea is to take them piece by piece, bit by bit, and try to fuse, almost if you like, to weld them back together to how they were before I tore them up. I shall start with these two pieces over here, so watch closely. And they should fit just about like this.
Oh, is that together? Yeah.
Yep, does seem to be working. Let's try with the next piece. I just put that in position just around here.
That's crazy.
Squeeze, just like that. You can see the front and the back. Yeah, there's no glue, no tape holding it together.
Oh, wow.
And that leaves us the last piece. Now, this is the most difficult because there are two edges, which makes it twice as difficult if you think about it. But I hope you can see it really is the piece that fits in that gap. And I hope you can see your word, beach. Don't take your eye off that. But a little squeeze, that's the first edge.
Ah.
That's the second edge, which means that the entire card is completely restored.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome.
And normally I would give you that card as a little souvenir to keep. You can see it really is back together and it'll never fall apart. But unfortunately, I'm over here, you're over there. But I tell you what, I'm supposed to be coming to Pittsburgh in August. So I'll hang on to it and I'll bring it over with me then. And you can examine it in August. And hopefully I'll see you at the show.
That was great.
That's awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was cool.